Welcome to Sci-Fi Tales Adventure. 4 thrilling sci-fi stories and cosmic adventures. Subscribe now. The warrior woman fought until the last, until a man stood beside her and said, "Now you are not alone." The smoke of battle clung to the sky like a shroud. The fortress walls burned, the banners of her people torn to ash. Blood slicked the stones beneath her boots. Still she stood. Saria, last daughter of the Crimson Guard, held her blade steady even though her arms trembled. Her body bore a dozen cuts, her armor cracked, yet she refused to yield. Around her, the enemy advanced in waves, mercenaries, soldiers, scavengers of the battlefield. "Fall," one of them snarled. But Saria did not fall. She swung her sword with the weight of every oath she had sworn, every life already lost. She fought for her people, though none stood beside her now. She fought for the memory of a land that had been devoured by war. And she fought because if she laid down her sword, then the fire of the Crimson Guard would die forever. Alone, she cut down one foe. Then another. Her lungs burned, her muscles screamed, but her spirit held. Until the ring of steel closed in, and for the first time, she knew she would not last. The moment of breaking. Her vision blurred. The world narrowed to the circle of enemies tightening around her. She struck one down, but another blade slashed across her leg, sending her stumbling to one knee. Her chest heaved. So this was the end. Her people were gone. Her sisters and brothers in arms were ash on the wind. She would die alone, surrounded by enemies who would not even speak her name when they were done. And yet, Saria gritted her teeth, raised her sword once more. If she had to fall, she would fall fighting. The unexpected voice. Steel clashed. She parried a blow, barely, her arms weak. She braced for the final strike. And then another blade flashed. Not hers. The enemy that should have ended her instead fell, his throat cut cleanly. Saria blinked. Another stood at her side. A man. Not of her people. His armor was scavenged, battered, his cloak torn. His eyes burned with the same defiance she felt in her own veins. He fought like a storm, each strike precise and brutal. He spared a glance at her, voice low but steady. "Now," he said, "you are not alone." Fighting side by side. Something inside Saria surged. Strength she thought long gone flared in her limbs. She rose to her feet, pressing her back against his as they faced the ring of enemies together. They came in waves. She cut left, he cut right. Where her defenses faltered, his blade was there. When he staggered, her shield met the strike. For the first time since the fall of the Crimson Guard, she was not fighting alone. And the enemy, who had thought her already finished, now hesitated. Because she no longer stood as one dying warrior, but as part of something greater, a shield wall made of two. The turning of the battle. Minutes stretched like hours. The dead piled at their feet. Saria's blood ran hot, but her spirit roared. Every strike she landed was sharper, every breath steadier. She felt her strength flow into him, and his into her. At last, the circle broke. The mercenaries, shaken by the sudden resistance, began to retreat. A handful fled outright, unwilling to pay the cost of killing these 2 warriors. Saria lowered her blade at last, panting. The stranger did the same. For a long moment, they simply stood amid the ruin, blood and ash clinging to them like cloaks. The conversation. Saria turned to him slowly. "Who are you?" He wiped blood from his blade. "No one," he said. Then, after a pause, "A man who couldn't stand watching you fall alone." Her chest tightened. "You should have run. You could have lived. I lived the moment I chose to fight beside you." She stared at him, unable to form words. She had thought herself the last flame of her people. Yet here was another, a stranger, who had chosen to stand with her when all others had fled. Her hand shook as she sheathed her sword. Then perhaps I am not the last flame after all. The bond forged in blood. They found shelter in the ruins of the fortress that night. Saria bound her wounds while he tended his own with quiet efficiency. "What is your name?" she asked at last. "Kale," he said simply. She nodded. "Then, Kale, you have my gratitude. And my sword, if you would have it." He looked at her then, eyes steady. "I didn't fight to earn your sword. I fought because no one should stand alone against the dark." Her throat tightened. She had lost everything: family, comrades, homeland. Yet here, in the shadow of ruin, something stirred again. Not victory. Not yet. But something worth more. Hope. Epilogue. In the days that followed, word spread of two warriors who stood against an army and lived. Some called them fools. Others called them heroes. For Saria, it did not matter. What mattered was this: she no longer carried her sword for the dead alone. She carried it for the living, for herself, for Kale, for whatever future they might carve together. She was no longer the last flame of the Crimson Guard. Because now, she was not alone.